but my ears can still hear and my eyes can still see.
It is not that the eyes are blind, but their hearts. Welcome back everybody to Keenan KTV. Coming off of the press conference between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder for the third fight, I personally expected Deontay Wilder to finally clear up the things that he said, but obviously we did not get anything of that nature. Instead, we got a Ronda Rousey type treatment where the fighter thinks that they're in some Rocky 5 movie and they got the biggest beating of their life, they went into hibernation and then they came back very silently and then they just did the job, right? I mean, this is not a cinematic movie that we are in. This is just a press conference. And so after all this time being silent, he decides to stay silent, keep his headphones on, and just give everybody the silent treatment and let his trainer Malik Scott do the talking. Now to begin with, we have to immediately start with his trainer. Malik Scott is a fighter that Deontay Wilder quote unquote stopped and knocked out when they fought, but looking at the tape, I can personally say that the fight was pretty much either a dive or a quit from Malik Scott's end. Deontay threw a left hook right hand and the right hand didn't even connect and Malik Scott just stayed down. And so if that is your trainer, the fighter that you once knocked out, that is who is going to be representing you in your corner. Now that aside, he also got rid of his trainers. So what does that immediately say to us everybody? Instead of having the opportunity, go back home, look at the drawing board, talk with your team to come up with a better game plan and try and defeat Tyson Fury. No, instead it goes to somebody he already knocked out in a fight that was either a fix or a fight in which Malik just completely quit in. So that legitimacy of coming into this fight with that type of a trainer or team just doesn't scream out to me personally improvement. Aside from improvement, we have to also take a look at the lead up to the first fight, in which you immediately saw Tyson Fury talking about how similar both Deontay and him were.
That's why you have to be careful, because your words are powerful. What you say out into the universe, it will manifest. What you say will come to pass. Believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe, receive it. Speak it, believe, receive it. And it's mine.
Let me tell you, all that stuff you just said, you're already beat.
We shall
You might say speak it, believe it, see it, but I don't know what you believe in.
Believe it and receive it.
But I know what you believe in.
Just to find out that Deontay Wilder was continuously speaking in this pseudo-intellectual, philosophical, spiritual manner that was just complete fabrication of, in my opinion, his ego to the highest extent. And obviously for a man who started boxing at the age of 18 just to be taken under his wing by a trainer who ended up believing in him, and from there he rose to the top of the heavyweight division and started to just immediately eliminate everybody with a killer right hand. And you can't blame the man to kind of get in his head and start to say things like conceive, believe, achieve, you know. So
you believe in something I don't.
Well, that's the problem.
We don't believe in the same things.
And we're from a different
world. And this
world.
Is where I don't like you anymore.
Culture.
I came here today thinking me and you were similar. But sitting around this table, I know that me and you are so worlds apart. I look to nothing to come inside me and win fights. Only the power of God above. That's it.
It's going to be your God against my God.
Time and time again. Knocked out. Remember this. I'll make you eat them words. I'll punish you with a jab.
I want you to.
You'll be looking to land them big shots.
Thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Congratulations to Deontay Wilder for finding his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Coming back to Tyson Fury, however, his mind is in the right place. It was a fight, he won, and he carried on. That's just what it is. But when it comes to Tyson Fury, talking about, for example, whatever it is that Deontay Wilder is doing right now, he just simply neglects it and just focuses on the fact that this ultimately is going to be coming down to a fight in the ring. Whatever happens outside of the ring, whatever Deontay Wilder may say, may not say, ultimately has no effect when the time comes to step in the ring.
You're from a place where
it's a fight, you know, and we're gonna have a fight, and we're gonna do what we do, get paid for it.
And that is really the reality of this entire thing. We may talk about Deontay making up excuses, going into hiding, going into press conferences, ignoring everything, wearing his headphones, or for example, turning away first during the press conferences, during the face-off. You may think that this is all just a sign of a loss, but ultimately it's not really a loss until the fight is over and done with and he actually lost. How many of us actually believed that Tyson Fury was going to be coming into the second fight and actually knocking out, stopping Deontay Wilder? Personally, I didn't believe it, but I didn't count it out because he had such a big size advantage. But I didn't really envision Tyson Fury actually committing in walking down Deontay Wilder and risk getting clipped with a counter right straight that could potentially knock him out. But he did. He took the risk and he fought fire with fire and he ended up being the bigger flame. Now, walking into the third fight, excuses aside, everything aside, going silent aside, everything aside, the reality is this: Deontay Wilder is never out of a fight. And if he were to win the third fight, this does not immediately mean anything. It doesn't mean that everything that he did before the fight was the cause of him actually winning that fight that night. It just meant that Tyson Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder, who always has this big knockout blow, and he ended up getting clipped with it, and that was just the reality of it. It's not everything that he did before the fight, his entire making up the excuses, making up the fake egg weight in the glove allegations. You know, him winning doesn't prove anything. It doesn't justify everything that he said. It doesn't prove anything that he said. It just said that on that night Deontay Wilder ended up knocking him out, and that's just it. However though, we will just see come fight night how things will go. Tyson Fury is a very, very dangerous fighter. He has shown that now he's also able to kind of sit down on his weight and walk down the smaller opponents like Deontay Wilder, instead of kind of giving him all of the room that he needed to launch that big right hand like he did in the first fight. Just walk him down and smash him to bits. That's what he did, and I believe that's what he will try to do in the third fight, which is, in my opinion, the more efficient way of fighting Deontay Wilder. Now, will that happen? In the end, only time will tell. But for now, I hope for Deontay Wilder that he has learned something with Malik Scott. However, like Tyson Fury said, when it comes down to it, Deontay Wilder will just revert back to what he knows, and that's just the truth of it. 40 fights, I believe 40 knockouts. All of a sudden, you're not going to become anything different than what you were.
Back to revert, 100%. You heard it here first. And another thing is, you can't expect him to do something that you couldn't do.
Like what? Knock you out?
Yeah.
When
I know, but we did spar, didn't we?
Yeah,
we know what happened there.
You're a 260-pound man that can fight. You can fight. That's what you do.
I know, but like, you can't teach him to be some great fighter when you wasn't. As soon as he gets in the ring, that he's going to be the same old Deontay Wilder we've always seen.
And just let's see how everything will play out come fight night. But I don't believe that just because Deontay Wilder went into hiding and was silent during press conferences that was the reason for him winning. If he wins, it's just because he's Deontay Wilder and he's a skilled boxer. That's it. And if Tyson Fury wins, the same reason applies. Thank you all for watching this video. Leave in the comment section down below what you think of this matchup and what you think of Deontay Wilder going into this fight. As always, I've been Keenan from Keenan KTV, signing off. Later.
Don't we find it funny that I busted both of these guys' eardrums, trainer and fighter? Crazy.
Crazy.
Statistics.